Welcome to Brainstorm MTG. I'm ELD. This is Fast Effect. We are jumping right in here. PO versus PO, the finals of the ELD Vintage Open at Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. And Micah leading out with a Gitaxian Probe, showing a hand of just hot sauce, Ancestral Demonic, Time Vault, Mystical Tutor, Tinker. Blightsteel is not very good in there, but everything else, man, that is some craziness. We'll see what happens with the mana on the other side of the board here for Joe. If he can draw into some mana, he's going to be in an incredible shape, and Ancestral looking to do just that. Does Micah have a misstep for it? Misstep or Spell Pierce. Flusterstorm. Super dangerous hand here. Tundra not going to enable the black mana, but Flusterstorm here completely shutting down that Ancestral. Even if the Joe had access to a counter, Flusterstorm would ensure that Ancestral not resolving there. Brainstorm for Micah. We see a PO in his hand. He's going to need to assemble some more artifacts to really make that worth casting. Not really ideal to do it with just two, despite the fact that you can get an extra card off of that Sensei's top. And now in much better territory here. 2 Moxes plus the top. Really talking. Micah just going to need a little more mana. And Joe picking that hand up. Ooh, it looks like Lotus in hand. Super dangerous situation here. More dangerous than it may have looked to Micah. Lotus really changes all of the math. That's why the card's so darn good. Time Vault enters, tapped. Here's Lotus. And Tinker not really an option, but Demonic Tutor for Voltaic Key would function here. Would get the combo on board. Seems like it might just be the time to pull the trigger. And it's exactly what's going to happen here. Demonic Tutor. 1 black mana left floating. Not going to show the Voltaic Key. Not yet. Little suspense. And there we go with that 1 mana floating. Got to play it now. Can't let Micah have another draw toward a misstep or something. And here it is. Upkeep. There's a repeal in Micah's hand. That would be a way to essentially drag things out a little longer. You can repeal the Time Vault in response to the attempted untap. I can buy a turn here. Tapping to draw. And paradoxical outcome for 3. One of which is going to be that Sensei's top. Building a potentially near lethal storm count, but no black mana yet. Mana Crypt spinning top. And casting top. Like a bottlenecked on blue mana here. That was in fact repeal in his hand. Quite a lot to walk away from. Tapping to draw. Another blue. It looks like it's just going to have to be a pass. And pray. He could Hurkyl's Recall here. That could also slow things down a little bit. A card like Mana Crypt would severely punish that, however. Difficult situation. Your opponent drawing Mana Crypt would completely punish that line. Giving them a draw during their draw step does allow them to hit a counter spell. Micah really thinking this through. I think the safest play is going to be to force Joe to commit tapping Voltaic Key. That is the safer situation. It is possible that Hurkyl's Recall would have been safer and then use the repeal on the following turn if things don't come together. It's really about delaying. Responding to Voltaic Key, tapping, targeting Time Vault. Time Vault should be tapped right now. And a Hurkyl's Recall. Voltaic Key being cast. And Micah taking that previously discussed line, dragging it out as much as possible with the Hurkyls, trying to buy some time. And now paradoxical outcome. For 4 plus the top draw, we're going to see 5 new cards here for Micah. So easy to build Lethal Storm for the decks that do choose to incorporate Tendrils. Would already be lethal here. Or near lethal. See where we go with this. Spinning top, tapping to draw, and another PO. Now it really is a question of what Micah's win condition is going to be. Joe cannot feel like his Time Vault likely to resolve at this point if he does get a turn. Micah with so many cards, borderline difficult to hold them all. Ancestral Recall off of that Mox Opal. Mox Opal replacing it. It is legendary. And there is Treasure Cruise. Mox Opal, so good in the deck. Paying Treasure Cruise's delve cost, another 1 blue ancestral of sorts. And Micah certainly going to be able to stop this Time Vault from coming back down. Don't believe he's made a land drop yet. Hoping for Academy at some point. I think he may have to settle for boring old basic or dual land here. An island at the front of the hand. Well, he's still going to keep on digging. No real need to... Oh, there's Academy. Tapping to draw. And that is why he was not making his land drop, hoping to find that Academy and get a nice boost of mana. And if this is another PO that's going to actually end up netting some additional mana. No Ponder, so 3 blue floating with a Ponder, shuffling away that Sensei's top. Repealing Mox Opal just to get the card. Time Vault Key. And that is a wrap there. Micah taking that one down. Very dangerous situation with Joe. Showing a handful of restricted goodness, but Micah weathering the storm and holding on. We'll see if we have more games incoming here. We did start in the middle of the action. Looks like we are. Hopefully that was game 1. And we're going to be seeing and games 2 and 3 here. It looks like Chalice of the Void in the sideboard. solid option went on the play here for Joe. So many zero casting cost artifacts. If you can get yours down first and then cast the Chalice, that can be very punishing for the mirror match. Only takes up 1 slot. It's a nice little wild card that you can draw into. An interesting choice. Chalice of the Void being restricted in Vintage really changes a lot. It used to be a great underrated sideboard card in Dredge. Loved playing it as a 4-of post board. Really punishing people on the Tormod's Crypt plan, but just generally stopping the more powerful decks from finding a way to even hang with you. Shutting off their entire mana base. The mana base full of accelerants. All right, here, Joe seeing some blue cards. Looks like he's going to be a little more comfortable with those. Sacrificing Flooded Strand. Not likely to have any reason not to get dual lands in this type of matchup, PO versus PO. They've currently not running things like Back to Basics or Blood Moon. I do not anticipate that being a thing anytime soon, given just the raw power level of the deck. You'd pretty much just rather win than dirtle around. And he actually finds that Chalice. We'll see if that dictates the situation here. Gataxian Probe. Seeing Sylvan, Time Walk, Voltaic Key, Mox Opal, Tolarian Academy. So Chalice hurting this hand in multiple directions, stopping that Mox Opal, but also preventing Academy from being particularly useful. But Micah may be okay here. This Sylvan could actually pull a lot of weight if Joe doesn't have a counter for it. He does have Force of Will at the front of his hand. We'll see how Micah decides to play this out. Tolarian Academy on Joe's side now. Tapping just for 1 mana. There are several good artifacts costing more than 0. Sensei's Top and Soul Ring, Mana Vault, all at 1. We'll take Key as well. You got your Time Vault. There are some ways of powering up Academy that are not just Moxes. But Micah would be grateful for his Academy to tap for just 1 right now. Would be nice. Interesting. So he did not cast Time Vault. There's a Time Walk from Joe. Personally would have probably played out the Time Vault into a Force of Will, and then if it works, then at least you've got your Tolarian Academy up, and if not, they counter a spell that potentially doesn't matter. Sylvan Library, likely the most important card in the hand right now. Getting that to resolve will likely bury Joe in card disadvantage. Time Walk, ELD Proxy. Don't actually remember what card those were. Have to take a look, sleuth that out. I know all of the Moxes were done on welding jars back in the day. Hundreds and hundreds of welding jars. And now Time Vault on Micah's side of the board. And that it's going to get fragmatized. Probably worth considering. Does take out the Academy and the Time Vault. Soul Ring. Academy back online. And 3 mana. Oh, for Mentor at the front of the hand here. It looks like Micah prioritizing Mentor over Sylvan, leading with the Sylvan, to potentially clear away any type of counters. And a paradoxical outcome targeting the Chalice at 0. Yikes, this looks like desperate times. And that's getting flusterstormed. So Micah says, no, I'm good. Let's play with this Chalice. It's fine. I don't mind at all. Especially with Sylvan in play. We'll see who ends up doing better. Very, very rough situation here. So now Micah not only has a real chance for a significant card advantage off of Sylvan, he's also going to avoid those dead draws effectively. And he's just going to go ahead and take 8. He does not have any concerns about his life total at all. And Mentor coming down now. Force pitching PO, leaving all that mana open, so he could have hardcast Force, declining to instead pitching PO. Micah forcing back. And now we've got the Flusterstorm. Let's see what happens here with Mentor. It just goes to the graveyard, so no more additional fighting. Mana Vault. And despite this Chalice of the Void, Micah with plenty of mana now. Micah seeing 3 new cards off of Sylvan, took all of them last time. Gonna put 1 back, going down to 6. Passing the turn. Yawgmoth's Will for Joe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. Hardcast Force and Yawgwill is countered. Back to Micah. Sylvan Library continuing to do its work. This time pushing him down to just 2 life. So many extra cards here. We've seen 4 extra cards. Going to need to be careful not to tap that Mana Vault and leave it tapped for too long. Voltaic Key can potentially help with that. Not the ideal thing to be untapping. Ponder says it's good enough. Hardcast Cataxian Probe. Drawing a card, and now Merchant Scroll on top. And a decision from Micah here. Does he grab... Oh, Repeal. Seeing Force of Will and Mox Opal, just 3 cards in hand, and now the floodgates open. Micah unleashing just a torrent here of artifacts, giving him all the mana he could use. Paradoxical outcome, and let's see if he includes the Sylvan Library with this pickup. You might as well. Looks like he's just going to have plenty of mana. So Voltaic Key being utilized. Is he going to filter for mana? Or is he going to get additional mana? Looks like, I'm actually not sure. With this much mana, it may be better to just use that Voltaic Key to untap the Mox Opal. I believe that's what he did. We will see. A new fistful of cards. Mana Crypt coming back down, meaning Micah plans on doing some more this game. This turn, I should say, not planning on passing the turn with that Mana Crypt in play. Even though we can't tell exactly what's in his hand, we can be pretty sure that he's not planning on rolling during his upkeep to decide the fate of this game. Oh, and that's a Brain Freeze. That is nonsense. Brain Freeze in Micah's hand. The storm count, I believe, is well over 20 here. I think this would be lethal from a starting position with the deck. Joe already like 20 cards deep, so this Brain Freeze is just going to leave Joe with a Blightsteel Colossus in the deck. Most likely he's just going to mill out his entire deck, just Blightsteel left. Now Micah finally tapping that Academy. Worth noting that if Micah just went all in on this Brain Freeze here, a lesser player could have actually just Brain Freezed. Joe would have drawn Blightsteel and then passed back, potentially with Micah dying to his own Mana Crypt during the upkeep. So Micah does need to either get Mana Crypt off of the board or find some card drawing like Ancestral Recall to force Joe to draw a card when he doesn't have one, losing the game. Seat of the Synod might be a Mox Sapphire proxy. I believe it is. I mean, he did play the Academy earlier this huge turn. Joe just sitting back, resigned to whatever the cards may make happen. Oh, he is keeping. Is this a cantrip or an answer? Snapcaster Mage for PO. Oh, Snapcaster for Merchant for Ancestral. Okay. So that should do it. So here we go. Flusterstorm. Joe is going to end up with just Blightsteel in his library. He does technically need to do it 3 at a time, just in case Blightsteel gets shuffled back in. But Micah showing him, the Ancestral is going to KO you eventually. Even if you hit Blightsteel every time, I believe the storm count is high enough that milling 2 at a time instead of 3 will do it. And Micah takes it down, becoming the ELD Vintage Open champion.